Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for joining Moshiach Matters, class number 140 something. Okay, sorry I'm a little late, but I have to get myself back into schedule. We are holding over here by Yitzchak, the story of Yitzchak and his wells. We are almost completed this. I just want to speak today about something special in Perek Chavav Pasuk Chav Beis, chapter 26, verse 22, Bereshis, Parshas Toldos. It says, "Vayatek misham." Yitzchak was digging various different wells. Vayachper be'er acheres. He dug another be'er. V'lei ravu Allah. They did not quarrel and contest this well. Vayikra shema Rechoivos. He called the name Rechoivos, which means broadness. Vayomer, he said, Ki ata hirchev Hashem lanu, because now Hashem broadened for us, ufarinu ba'aretz, and we have increased in the land. So last week we discussed already why the third Beis Hamikdash is referring. There were three wells that were dug, and the first well and the first two were contested because they referred to the first two temples, the first two Beit Hamikdash, but the last and final temple is going to last forever. And because it's going to be built by Hashem, that's why by this time it says Vayachpar, he dug. It doesn't say they dug. All the other ones are attributed to his servants. So last week, in the last class that we gave, which actually 2 weeks ago, we discussed how the third Beis Hamikdash is both completely ours and at the same time it's completely God's. It's a very interesting class to listen. And we spoke about a mikveh and the uniqueness of a well. Now I'd like to add, particularly regarding the name, a little bit more Kabbalistically, regarding the name of the third one, the third well, Vayikra Shema Rechoivos. It was called Rechoivos, which means broadness. And he says, Ki ata hirchev Hashem lanu ufarinu ba'aretz. So the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Chabad Rebbe, gives some tremendous insight into this name of Rechoivos. It's referring to the third well, referring to the tremendous broadness that's going to happen in the days of Moshiach. And he explains it on various levels, and I'm going to just speak of three of the elements that he explains. What's the idea of this broadness that we're talking about, of the Rechoivos? So number one, we take a look he brings Medrash. If you look at the Medrash in our Medrash Bereshis, Medrash Rabbah, on this pasuk, Vayeshev Yitzchak Vayachpar, it's in Perek Samach Dalet Pasuk Zayin. It says, Vayeshev Yitzchak Vayachpar, Kama be'erois Chafar Avinu Yitzchak be'Be'er Sheva. How many wells did Yitzchak dig in Be'er Sheva? Now, even though these wells were not yet in Be'er Sheva, next pasuk it says, Vayal Misham Be'er Sheva, he went up to Be'er Sheva, but the Medrash says that really the earlier wells that he dug, he's going to dig another well later in Be'er Sheva. Vayichru Sham Av the Yitzchak Be'er, they're going to dig another well in Be'er Sheva. But yet, so the Medrash says that the earlier wells, they were also dug in the vicinity of Be'er Sheva. Gerar, where Yitzchak was, in the valley of Gerar, is not far from Be'er Sheva. So it's considered. That's where the Medrash says how many wells did he dig altogether? Rabbi Yehuda ima arba. Rabbi Yehuda says 4, and that's why his children, became 4 different camps in the wilderness. When the Jews were in the desert, in the wilderness, they became 4 different camps. It was set up around the Mishkan. This week is the parsha of the Mishkan. So it was set up around the Mishkan in 4 different camps. And those camps were related to the flow of divine flow, which is related to these wells. But the rabbis say chamesh, there are 5 wells. Again, how do you get, I'm looking in the Mefarshim and the Medrash, how do you get 5? There's 3 earlier, then there's another well they dug in Be'er Sheva, so that makes it 4. Where's the 5th well? Could be referring to the well that it mentions that Yitzchak redug Avram's well. Maybe that's counted. I'm not exactly sure. I don't see it in the Mefarshim of the Medrash to explain how we get the 5th well. But what the Rabbanan do say is Chamesh Keneged Chamisha Sifrei Torah, that the 5 wells that altogether Yitzchak dug in Be'er Sheva correspond to the 5 books of the Torah. Right? There's 5 books of the Torah. Bereshis, Shemos, Vayikra, V'Midud Dvarim. Each one is a spring. Each one is a well of divine, godly light, and Yitzchak dug those wells. And he goes through explaining each one. The first well is called Asek, because in Sefer Bereshis, because Asek means busy. The Eibishter was busy creating the world. So when it's Asek HaKadosh Baruch Hu Abaras Olam, Hashem is creating the world. So Asek comes from the word, in addition to being contestant, but it also means an Asek, like a business. Hashem, in Bereshus, Hashem is busy creating the world. The second one, it says that he called it Sitna, because in the book of Shmois, we experienced the first time anti-Semitism. They embittered their life. The book of Shemos begins with the Golus. The third well, it says, Vayimtzu sham be'er mayim chayim. That's actually this well that we're talking about over here. The one over here. Does it say that by this well? They found be'er mayim chayim? No, actually it says it earlier, by the earlier well, by the first well that they dug. It says they found be'er mayim chayim. Anyways, the Medrash, however, is saying that reference, be'er mayim chayim, is referring to the book of Vayikra. And the reason why it's called Be'er Mayim Chayim is because it's a book with so many mitzvahs. Most of the mitzvahs are in Sefer Vayikra. Then later there was another well that they dug when they went to Be'er Shava. And here it says, Vayichru Avdei, that Avdei Yitzchak dug a well. So over here, in the end it says, they called it Shiva, al Shem Ha'ir Be'er Shava. So they called it Be'er Shava. So that calling Vayikra Isa Shiva is referring to the book of Bamidbar. Why is the book of Bamidbar called Shiva? Because we know that the book of Bamidbar is divided into 3 books. Because from the beginning of Bamidbar till the pasuk Vahi ben Soya is one sefer. Vahi ben Soya Aaron is considered an entire Chumash. Those 2 psukim. That's why it has an upside nun before it and an upside down nun after it. And then after the pasuk Vahi ben Soa till the end is another sefer. So you have 3 svarim, and then Devarim is the 7th. So Sefer Bamidbar is what turns the Torah into a 7-book sefer. That's why regarding to Sefer Bamidbar, it's called Vayikra Isa Shiva. Fine. And finally, what's the last well? Vayikra Shmoi Rechayvos. It's not the last well, but that's the well that's mentioned over here. This one that's called Rechovos is referring to Mishnah Torah. It's referring to Sefer Devarim, which is called Mishnah Torah. Why? Because there is a pasuk in Mishnah Torah, Ki Yarchiv Hashem, Ki Yarchiv, it says in Mishnah Torah, Ki Yarchiv, when Hashem will broaden your land. And that's the meaning now, what it says over Ki Ato Hirchiv Hashem Lanu Parinu Ba'aretz. So from here you see that Tzemach Tzedek says that the Medrash is drawing a parallel between this Ki Yarchiv over here, that he's calling it Rechovos, is connected to this that it says in the Medrash, Ki Yarchiv, that Hashem is going to broaden. Where is that in Parshas Re'eh? Ki Yarchiv Hashem is going to broaden. So the Tzemach Tzedek explains what's the significance of that Ki Yarchiv. So we have to take a look in Sefer Devarim in Parshas Re'eh, where it speaks about Ki Yarchiv, when Hashem will broaden. So let's look at the Medrash in Parshas Re'eh. Okay, until now I quoted you the Medrash in Parshas Toldos. Now let's look at Medrash in Parshas Re'eh. The Medrash says in Parshas Re'eh that the Ki Yarchiv, it's an amazing thing. Davaracha Ki Yarchiv Hashem Elokecha Efsher Shakadosh Baruch Hu Marchiv is Eretz Yisrael. Is Hashem going to make Eretz Yisrael bigger? Eretz Yisrael has certain borders, and those borders are borders. And like, what do you mean you're making it bigger? So the Medrash answers a fascinating thing. Rabbi Yitzchak. So Rabbi Yitzchak says, this I never heard. I heard Eretz Yisrael is compared to a deer skin. It stretches. But here there's something else. Ha-Megillah Azois, when you have a Megillah, when you have a scroll, but it's rolled up, Ein Adam Yedeya Kama Arkava Kama Rachba. No one knows what the length and what's the width of this Megillah, of this scroll, because it's all folded up. But once it's rolled open, Humodas Kamahis, and everybody knows how big it is. Kach Eretz Yisrael, hear this. Eretz Yisrael, Kol Ruba Hara Megavois. Eretz Yisrael is full of mountains and hills. So really what he's saying is Eretz Yisrael is compressed, because it's like rolled up. Maayon, and he brings the pasuk, V'aretz Hashata Evrim Shama Lerishta Eretz Harim B'Kois. It's a land of mountains and canyons and valleys, right? But then it says, but when Hashem is going to flatten it out, that every high place, every low place, every canyon, every low place, Yanase is going to be lifted up, every valley. And every mountain, Vigiva and hill, Yishpala, are going to be lowered. In other words, Eretz Yisrael is going to be, it's going to be flat. Everybody's going to know what it is. So what does that mean? I mean, the beauty of Eretz Yisrael is that it's mountains. It seems like the Medrash is that Hashem is going to turn it into flat land, and suddenly Israel is going to be so much bigger Eretz Yisrael than what it is now. So the Tzemach Tzedek explains it, Pnimius in Yanim, the Pnimius of it. And he says that we know that Eretz Yisrael corresponds, the physical Eretz Yisrael corresponds spiritually to the attribute of Malchus. Because Eretz Yisrael is the place where God manifests his kingship. Him as a melech, that's where his kingship is revealed. And Malchus is called Eretz Achayim, the land of life. It's called Malchus is called Eretz because it's the last from all the spheros. And it's also just like the earth. Everything grows from the earth. So all of creation emanates from Shechina, from Malchus, from the power of God's mouth. I'm not going to go into the whole explanation, the relationship of Malchus to called Eretz, but that's the way it is. But we know that Malchus is the one sphera that is like, Malchus is also compared to the moon. That sometimes she's tiny and other times she's broadened. And all the other spheres, when they initially were emanated, they were emanated as an entire structure. That's what it says. All the spheres were emanated lechatchila as an entire parts of. That means in each sphere there was already a complete configuration of all the other spheros. Spheres HaMalchus is the only sphere that was netzla b'pchenas nekuda. It was only a point. And that's why sometimes and then the other spheres are added to it. So sometimes when there is that addition of tremendous light, Malchus is in her full expression and a full a revelation. And other times, Malchus shrinks and she becomes just a tiny nekuda, just a tiny little point. It's called nekuda tachas hayesod, just a tiny little nekuda. And spiritually, Tzemach Tzedek says that that's during the time when the powers of the chitzonim, when the powers of evil, when the powers of unholy, when the powers that oppose Yerushalayim, okay, Malchus is also called Yerushalayim, when the power of Tzur is the city that is the opposite of Yerushalayim, when that is filled and when that's broadened, when the unholy kingdom is in an expansive state, that causes the Shechina, it causes Malchus, it causes holiness to shrink. It never disappears, but it remains only a tiny little nekuda, a little point. But then, when the klipa is broken, and when the unholy is crushed, and the Simlech At Hashem Levadecha, and Hashem's kingship suddenly rises, Malchus Beis David rises, so then Malchus expands in all her glory. And that tiny little country that you can hardly see in the map, that's hardly noted, it's there, but suddenly will expand and become so huge and so prominent and such a powerful entity in the world. And that's the idea that Eretz Yisrael will be mispashet. That's the idea that the Eibishter will open up, and now Eretz Yisrael is crumpled, it's rolled like a Megillah, like a closed scroll, but at that time Hashem will unravel Eretz Yisrael, means the Yespashtos of Spheres HaMalchus, and it's unbelievable. And the same also applies, by the way, to Moshiach. That there are times, in general, the whole kingship of David, it doesn't say this to Tzemach Tzedek here, but I'm just applying it, that the Malchus of David shrinks during Gullus. There's always a king of Melech Mebeis David. There's always a remnant of a seed of David the Melech in the world, but at times it becomes almost invisible and almost unnoticeable. But then when it comes to time, it suddenly, it expands and it becomes a king over the whole world. The idea of the Eibishter's Malchus goes through these fluctuations and these changes, and that's what the Tzemach Tzedek says is the concept of when it says of Vayikra Shema Rechovos, the Rechovos that we're talking about in our pasuk is talking about when Malchus is filled. That means it's not only a Nakuda, but Malchus has in itself all other sphirot, all other attributes. Chesed Sheba Malchus, Gevura of Malchus, Netzach of Malchus, Chachma of Malchus, and each one is 10 times 10, so it's 100. So Malchus is in a full expansion. It's unbelievable. That is one cheshbon. Then he goes and he says another pirush in the Rechovos, based on the next passage, again in the Medrash in Parshas Devarim, on the pasuk Ki Yarchiv. Rabbanan Amri, the Rabbanan say, Medabe b'Yerushalayim. That when it says Ki Yarchiv, it's not talking about Eretz Yisrael in general, but it's talking about Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. And here what the Medrash says, just one line, Mi yochoy lidoy shalvasa Yerushalayim kesheyarchivenu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who is able to see the tranquility of Jerusalem when the Eibishter will broaden it? When the Eibishter will open up Yerushalayim and will broaden Yerushalayim, who is able to see the beauty of Jerusalem or the tranquility of Yerushalayim? Tzemach Tzedek says that the Medrash does not conclude the Maimer. Maybe somewhere else it mentions more. What does it mean? It seems like this is the end of the Maimer, but then Tzemach Tzedek says that over here there's no conclusion of this Maimer. I guess for whatever reason we only have the beginning of what the Rabbanan say on this Kiyarchiv. But what's this idea? So therefore the Tzemach Tzedek says that when it says in our pasuk, Vayikra Shmoi Rechovos, and again the Medrash by us says that the Rechovos over here is related to the Kiyarchiv. Kiyarchiv is Gevulcha. It's referring to the expansion of Yerushalayim. By the way, it fits. This goes in conjunction with the shir I gave this week. The shir that we gave is called A Small Big Temple. It's really worth listening to. It's talking what the Marsha says, why Yerushalayim is going to be so big when Moshiach comes. The Beis HaMikdash is also going to expand. It's going to be as big as Yerushalayim. It's because of all the shuls that are now in Golos, and all the yeshivas are all going to connect to the Beis HaMikdash. That's something to connect to this. Anyway, these are the first two Perushim. And again, either it's referring to the expansion of Eretz Yisrael, which means the expansion of Malchus. And Malchus's glory is going to be in her full power and a full manifestation and a full expression. Or it's referring to the expansion of not just of Eretz Yisrael, but of Yerushalayim. Then he brings a third Pirush. He says, even though the Medrash in Parshas Toldos says that the reason why this Be'er is called Rechovos, it's related to Sefer Devarim, and the Medrash brings the pasuk Ki Yarchiv, which the pasuk Ki Yarchiv is referring to. It's a pasuk in Parshas Re'eh, but he says there is another pasuk in Parshas Shoftim, and over there it doesn't begin with the words Ki Yarchiv, but it says Ve'im Yarchiv, and if Hashem is going to expand your land. And that's referring particularly to the three extra nations that the Eibishter is going that we're going to conquer in Eretz Yisrael. So, meaning, if we're learning Ki Yarchiv, the pasuk in Parshas Re'eh, that's referring to Eretz Yisrael as it is now. It's just Ki Yarchiv, meaning Hashem is going to open it up. It's the same Eretz Yisrael, but Hashem is going to open it up and cause it to expand from within. But then there is another inyan, that Hashem promised to Avram Avinu the land of 10 nations. But we only conquered when we came out of Mitzrayim the land of 7 nations. There's another 3 nations that we didn't conquer yet. And that's the land of Keni, Knizi, V'Kadmoini. And that's going to be added to the Jewish people when Mashiach will come. That's the pasuk in Parashas Shoftim, when it talks about Ir Miklat, that when Hashem is going to add to Eretz Yisrael and make it larger, we have to make another 3 cities of refuge, another 3 Ir Miklats. So it's a different level of Ki Yarchiv. So the Tzemach Tzedek says that it could be that our Rechovos, not could be, when the Tzemach Tzedek says it means it is that way, that the Rechovos that's over here is referring to the second Ki Yarchiv in Sefer Devarim, which is the Ki Yarchiv of adding Keni, Knizi, Kadmoisi. And what does that mean spiritually, he says, in addition to the fact that Israel is going to be better, larger, because we're going to have another 3 countries added to it, Ammon and Moab and Edom. But in addition to the spiritual meaning to that, it's because everything in the physical is a reflection of the spiritual. He says, when Mashiach will come, there's going to be an unbelievable expansion in the richness, in the experience of Kedusha. Holiness is going to expand in an unbelievable depth and an unbelievable experience. We will see that in the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi. Because in the Beis HaMikdash, the musical accompaniment, which music represents our connection to Hashem and our opening of our own Neshama and our depth of experience and richness of experience, we're going to have 10 notes instead of 7 notes. We all know the 8th note, but it says, many places it says that the kinnor of Yemosa Mashiach, the kinnor, the harp of Yemosa Mashiach is going to have, instead of 7 strands, it's going to have 10 strands. So what does that mean? It means that the experience of holiness is going to be on 10 levels. What does that mean? So he says like this. In Kabbalah it says that there are 7 haycholos. In the spiritual worlds, there are 7 chambers. Now what does it refer to? The 7 midos. Now, even though the 7th one, it seems like when we say 7 midos, it's counting from bina and down, and it's not counting das probably. So it's bina, chesed, gevura, teferes, netzach, Hoid Yesoid. Hold it. Bina. No, it's not counting Das for sure, not. But even like that, it's counting only through Yesod. Malchus, for whatever reason, is not counted in this. So these are the 7 spheres. From Bina down. But it says that Spheres Sabina is called Heichel Kodesh HaKadoshim. It's the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So the word Kodesh HaKadoshim is implying that there is 3 levels of holy. There is Kadoshim, which is double, two aspects of holy, and then there is Kodesh HaKadoshim, it's a 3rd level. So what does that mean, Kodesh HaKadoshim, which are 3 levels of holy? So it means like this: Chachma and Bina are already called Muvdal, Kodesh, holy, because we know that Mochin, Bechlal, Yudke, and Hashem's name is Yudke Vavke. So the Vavke is referring to the 7 emotions, which are called the revealed side of God. Emotions are more the revealed side of a person, interactive with others. The intellect of a human being is called Alma Diskasia, the concealed world. Hanestoros, the hidden. Yudke of Hashem's name, if you're learning Tanya now in Chitas, we find out that Yudke is called the concealed world, the hidden world. So Yud and Hey is Chachma and Bina. So Chachma and Bina are called Kadashim, 2 levels of holiness. Kodesh is Keser. So he says today's days, even though we have a Gilui, because we have a chamber called Kodesh HaKadosh, so we have a Gilui, not just to Bina, but also to Chachma, and even to transcendental infinite light of Keser. But it's all manifesting through Bina. We don't have yet an individual, complete opening of the 3 Mochen. The Mochen Be'etzem, the essential Mochen, are hidden from us. Because if it would be revealed, then it wouldn't be one level that contains 3, it would be each one separate. Ki Yarchav Hashem Elkeinu as Gevucham, as Hashem is going to broaden us up in a much, much broader way. And we're going to merit the Gilui of Keser and Chachma and Bina as they stand Be'etzem. And that means that we're going to be unbelievably enriched in our godly experience and our connection to the Eibishter. We're going to have Gilui HaMoich. It's connected to the fact that when we went into Eretz Yisrael, every Gilui that comes from above, every revelation that comes from above is related to the work that we do from below in Birur HaNitzutzis. When we elevate sparks from below, we cause a revelation from above. So when we went into Eretz Yisrael, we only rectified the 7 emotions, 7 lands. We only purified the 7 nations. So we only had a revelation from above of the 7 emotions. Now through this long exile, close to 2,000 years, and we do a rectification even in the Mochen, through Torah study, whatever, we do a rectification even in the Mochen, even in the Chachma Bina Das, in this case, Keser Chachma Bina. So we merit to the revelation of Keni Knizi and Kadmoini. So that's a tremendous expansion in the experiences of holiness. And that's the meaning of Vayikra Shema Rechovos. It's referring to an expansion from above. See, earlier we spoke about the expansion of Malchus, and here we're speaking about an expansion from above in Chachma, Bina, and so forth. So that's really incredible. One more pirush I'm going to add to this. Till now I spoke to you from the Tzemach Tzedek. There is one more biur and one more explanation that I'd like to add, because the pasuk says, "Ki ata hirchev Hashem lanu ufarinu ba'aretz," and we will increase in the land. So I'd like to give 3 pirushim very briefly. In this idea, we will multiply in the land. What's the meaning of this multiplication? So there's one explanation that I saw, and the meaning of ufarinu ba'aretz. It's because we know that, again, if this is talking about the future, the 3rd Beis Hamikdash, at that time it says, "Asida isha sheteled b'chol yom," that a woman is going to give birth every day, which means the birthing process is not going to take 9 months, which has to do with the curse that Hashem gave to Chava, that she has to carry the baby for such a long time. It's uncomfortable, and it's all the discomfort that comes along with the hardship of a pregnancy. When Moshiach will come, "Asida isha sheteled b'chol yom," a woman will give birth every day, which means as soon as she becomes pregnant, just be quick, immediate development of the child. So that's the meaning of Arinu Ba'aretz, because the speed of human production, of creation, is going to increase in an incredible way, and that's why it says, "If Arinu, we will inherit." There will be far, many more human beings. The Jewish people will explode in terms of how many we will be. That's one pirush of Arinu Ba'aretz. There's another pirush in Afarinu Ba'aretz, that Afarinu Ba'aretz is referring to this is very, 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 very special pirush. We know, and what does it have to do with the words Ki hirchev Hashem lanu, that Hashem has broadened for us? We know when Moshiach will come, it says, this is the theme that we're talking about today, Asida Eretz Yisrael, Shetispashet B'chol Haratzis, that Eretz Yisrael is going to expand over the entire world. That Kedushas Eretz Yisrael is going to expand over the entire world. So now, in these days, however, it says that anybody that lives outside of Eretz Yisrael, Doimeh Kamisha Ein Lo Yalakai. If someone lives outside of Eretz Yisrael, it is compared as if he doesn't have a God. That means Hashem is our God. We are in Eretz Yisrael. It's one of the reasons why there's always been an excitement by Jews to live in Eretz Yisrael, because the Eibishter's presence is over there, and therefore when you're living in Eretz Yisrael, you have far more the Eibishter as your God. God is your God. Outside of Eretz Yisrael, doime, it's compared. Not chas v'shalom, we don't have, but it's compared as we don't have a God. When Mashiach will come and Eretz Yisrael will expand over the entire world, so we will have a God no matter where we are. We will be able, in other words, we will be able to experience Hashem and be completely surrendered to Him and have the consciousness and the subservience to Hashem everywhere we live, because the world will be pure and the power of Tumah that's blocking us from experiencing Hashem in Chutz Liyaris won't be there anymore. And that's the meaning of the words he says, Ki hirchiv Hashem lanu. Hirchiv Hashem lanu means that the Eibishter will be marchiv himself. Ki hirchiv Hashem, Hashem is broadening the Yudke Vavke. He's broadening himself lanu to us. That no matter where we are, we have a God. He is available for us to be our Hashem, Ani Hashem Elokechem, wherever you are. Now it's only in Eretz Yisrael, but Ki hirchiv Hashem lanu, Hashem is expanding Himself lanu to us. Ufarinu ba'aretz, that the earth itself will multiply. And what does it mean that the earth itself will multiply? The fact that Eretz Yisrael will expand to cover the whole world is the idea of Eretz Yisrael multiplying itself. So now, the domain, the inanimate object, doesn't multiply. Stones don't have babies. Someach grows, can expand. Chai, for sure, reproduces itself. Medaber, humans, but the domain doesn't. But Eretz Yisrael, that's the meaning, ifarinu ba'aretz, that the earth itself will multiply itself to expand over all of Eretz Yisrael, and that's the meaning of the year. Okay, Be'ezus Hashem, join us again next week, Thursday, for Moshiach Matters. Moshiach does matter, and mattering it in a very, very big way. May we merit to see the Geula Shalema, and whatever we spoke about today, may it materialize in front of our eyes already now.